Anthony has no flexion in his elbows with his arms being in a fully extended position. We are going to keep an eye on the flexion of the elbows as the speed increases in his upcoming running motions. Initial contact is made with the heel of the foot even when not wearing shoes. There is also a slightly out-toed angle of foot strike present in the walking gait. In the side angle, it is apparent that Anthony initially makes contact with the heel of his foot. We will keep this in mind and compare the point of initial contact when looking at his running gait. We can confirm the heel contact from the side angle as well. We can also see that a 0 to 30 degree knee flexion angle is present at initial ground contact. The maximum eversion angle between the lower leg and the heel is between 0 to 10 degrees. Therefore, he would not be categorized as supinating or pronating considerably on his stance leg. There is a normal level of foot pronation present which is symmetrical on both sides. There is also lateral rear foot contact seen from this angle. There is a considerable increase in the angle of elbow flexion when comparing his running gait to his walking gait. His walking gait included very little elbow flexion. In this view, there is a greater angle seen between the foot and the thigh at the point of maximum knee flexion. This is in comparison to his walking gait previously. The angle of knee flexion is now more than 60 degrees and lies in the 60 to 90 degree range. This is in contrast to the minimal knee flexion in the walking motion. Initial contact is made at the midfoot instead of the heel as previously observed, and there is increased knee flexion angle in the swing, similar to running with shoes. With the increased speed, the initial contact with the ground has moved from the heel to the midfoot. This is to be expected with shorter contact time with the ground. Without shoes, the heels are level or at times slightly raised compared to the forefoot on ground contact. Lateral foot contact with the ground is still maintained here. The swing limb has a greater than 10 degree angle between the foot and the thigh when at maximum knee flexion. This is most visible with increased speed but was noted as a possibility previously. Anthony supinated upon ground contact often but not always. The angle of supination was smaller when looking at his walk but became larger during a number of ground contacts in his running gait. Arms still do not cross the midline even at the highest speed for Anthony's run. However, there is far greater upper body motion in comparison to his walking gait. Anthony has an approximately 90-degree angle of flexion in his elbows. He does not swing from an extended position but maintains a 90-degree angle during all phases of the swing of his arm. There is still some supination upon ground contact as noted before, but it seems to be less pronounced in response to a change in incline in comparison to a change in speed. At the most challenging incline level, Anthony still maintains balance and is centered using a midfoot strike pattern in comparison to his heel strike pattern in his walking gait.
Tuning in to Anthony DiGiorgio's GAIT Analysis summary video. When it comes to movement signatures, everyone's got their own, and DiGiorgio's no different. Breaking down Anthony's walking gait, we basically see that with shoes and without shoes at speed 3.0 miles per hour on the treadmill, that Anthony makes heel contact. So that's slightly lateral rear foot contact with the treadmill. His arms are extended and not moving too much. He has normal pronation of the feet, and he's getting minimal knee flexion angles to create swing. So we'll take a look at this and how this compares to higher speeds of running and with grades. Moderate running speeds, so speed 6.0 miles per hour on a treadmill, with shoes and without shoes again, we can see a change in the way that Anthony runs in terms of his gait pattern. So he's actually getting more of a midfoot contact with the floor as opposed to initially having a heel contact and walking. We'll see an increased knee flexion angle to create swing, and his arms are a lot more involved. He is flexed at a 90-degree position in his arms, and it is not extending during swing, but we do see a lot more involvement in terms of movement. Seen at moderate speeds, but more pronounced at the higher speeds, definitely seeing a greater angle between the foot and thigh at maximal knee flexion. That's during his running pattern. It's slightly more pronounced again on his right side, and definitely an increased knee flexion angle during the running patterns at higher speeds, and we can see that at speed 9.0, 10.0, 11.0 miles per hour on the treadmill. In response to grades or percentage of incline on a treadmill, we can see that with an increase in incline, Anthony actually is slightly less supinated on initial ground contact. He's still getting it, but not as much as we'd see on the flat grades at either moderate speeds or high speeds. And this is just due to the demand of the activity. Overall, with Anthony's gait, we see subtle differences between his left side of movement and the right side of movement. But overall, very balanced symmetry in terms of the movement pattern itself, especially with foot strike. He is slightly out-toed on his foot strike pattern, but nothing really to throw him off in terms of his balance. Never crossing the midline either with the arms or with the feet. And yeah, taking a look at individual assessment in different angles and different views with and without shoes gives us really a conclusive look in terms of Anthony's total gait.